Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. If you have big enemies or enemies that would really want to take care of you, if you know what I mean, you try to associate yourself with other friends or other entities in order to counter and isolate yourself, protect yourself from possible attacks from those enemies. And how do you do that? You have to give something. You have to give something in return. You receive their protection. In this case, we have Iran. I'm pretty sure you are aware that Iran is under US's microscope of a regime change country. And that had to happen a long time ago by this guy's calculation. So the thing is way overdue. Now, it's not necessarily the United States of America who's the country that really it's the top of the list of regime change in Iran. I think the first one would be the Jewish state. See how nice? Put the Jewish state, they like that. So, Israel. And then with the United States, they will try it for some time to take care of the independent, sovereign country of Iran with different kind of methods. The problem is Iran associated itself with another guy who's strong and who's in the parking lot, and that is Russia. Through Russian investments and economic and military cooperation, including the nuclear facilities over there, they isolated and insulated from the bully boy and its little friend, if you know what I mean. So now Tehran, so Iran, is shaking hands with another big guy from the parking lot, and that would mean that Iran would be possibly, or at least on the paper, protected by two big guys against one big guy. And his little hyenas, you know, the jackals that are going around that big lion. So what am I talking about? As I said, there's no secret that Iran and Russia, friends, brothers, and now China moves in. And United States, I don't think they look at it and Israel and look at this cooperation with beautiful glasses, if you know what I mean, with rose-colored glasses. This article comes from Sputnik and it is from today, the 14th of December 2022. Iran, China agreed to jointly develop oil gas fields. That means Chinese companies will have direct access to facilities, fields, oil, gas of Iran. That's a big development. Why? Because China needs resources, got Russia, got Saudi Arabia, and now got Iran. So it's kind of like all set. But that would imply that in case United States does something or wants to do something stupid for other reasons, then China could or possibly intervene in behalf of Iran. And they will, because their interests will be attacked. Iran and China have signed several agreements during the visit of Chinese Vice Premier Hu Chunhua to Tehran on cooperation in the joint development of oil and gas fields, Iranian Oil Minister Javad Oji said on Wednesday. Several good agreements and memoranda on joint development of gas and oil fields with China have been signed during Hu's visit, end quote. Oji was quoted as saying by the Iranian news agency IRNA. On Tuesday, Hu held meetings with Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi and First Vice President Mohammad Mohber to discuss the recent visit of Chinese President Xi Jinping to the Saudi Arabian capital city Riyadh, where the leader took part in the China Gulf Cooperation Council summit and in the first ever Sino-Arab summit, as well as the realization of the strategic partnership agreement for next 25 years and cooperation issues in the oil, gas and investment area. So I don't think China is going to move fast towards the clean energy or anything like that. And what are these guys gonna do about it? Nothing. So United States seems, and not only United States, because United States has what it needs as resources. It's covered. The problem is with the idiots from Europe. And when I talk about idiots from Europe, I'm not talking about population, obviously, that's a disclaimer. I'm talking about their guys in charge. The problem is those guys that are in charge were voted by people of Europe. So maybe next time you pick wiser, or I don't know. The problem is these guys are pretending so much and so good, they're so good actors. The mass media plays the role of, you know, advertising these weasels, such perfect people, that the population who you know, doesn't have time to do some research on each person that, you know, the media and big interest push forward to be elected and sent to Brussels or even in their own parliaments and presidential offices, they get, you know, fooled here and there. And I understand that they still have the megaphone, they being the So anyway, those guys in Europe, the people in Europe will be affected. The problem is the leaders, quote unquote, the representatives, will be also affected, because if you have a weak country, you have nothing to bargain, then you know, your ass. You can't have nothing else. And since Europe is getting more and more under the US's occupation with military, which under the disguise of NATO, they come and defend them for threats coming from the woods of Siberia. All right, so then the Europeans shit their pants and they need those guys to deploy forces over there. So that's basically occupation, however you want to take. Oh, we need your help because you tell us those guys are the bad guys, and they are the bad guys because they're Russians by definition, right? And and then economically, they make you impose sanctions on you with resources that you don't have, and you get them from Russia cheap. Now you get them from other places in scarce amount at a higher price. So basically shoot yourself economically in the foot again. And that's going to have repercussions on your society and your country overall, your economy and so on. So then your country weakens, your industry flies over the Atlantic to Zimbabwe, you know what I mean. Zimbabwe will have your industry, will have their military on your territory. What the hell do you have? I tell you what you have. You have the workforce, which is going to be the modern slaves. You got the weasels that these modern slaves are allowed to elect from the ones that are pushed forward for you to elect. Like here too, I'm not saying about Europe, but I'm just discussing what Europe is the one who's deepest. You know what I mean? So, and then the population will pay for all this, and you have the territory. You got the land. You got the workforce, the United States obviously, in Europe is going to work for you. You got the banking system, you got the military industrial complex, and you got the energy. So you got Europe by the dingalingy, not by, no, dingalingy. But good enough. You can play bing, 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 bing with them. So this is what it is. These guys here in Tehran, they try to, as I said, insulate themselves from the possible attacks from United States and other guys who would like their resources to distribute freely, or at least to take charge of them. Remember, Venezuela sells its oil to and extracts it by only a few accepted players over there. I think it's Amoco. Is it Amoco? I don't know. I can't remember. It's just is it Amoco? Anyway, it's a U.S.-based and California-based company, oil company, energy company that would extracts the oil and produces the oil and all that in Venezuela. United States imposed sanctions and as you know, on Venezuela, and doesn't allow a free country to trade freely. So they have authority over a country's resources by imposing sanctions and smacking little fish from doing business with Venezuela. Well, they will like to try to do the same thing with Iran, where they dictate how much comes out and to whom, and who's the one who's going to exploit it. This is the end game over there in Iran, and make it militarily weak, so the little boys over here, the you know, will feel safe even though they have nuclear weapons. But you, Iran, you can't have anything. But we could. Anyway, this is the way it goes. I think Iran has to do what it has to do. You're not a big fish in a, in a lake, so then you have to try to stay around a bigger shark, so you don't get attacked by another shark, because you're at safety. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.